still in a good position, too, to win the King of Bercy honor. Look at the size of those trophies. How do you check those to take them back home?
Bribery, whatever it takes. Actually, they used to be bigger than that. And I think
in every round. Jeremy McGrath, the defending champion of World Supercross, as yet has not won. It's such a great show here in Paris. Nothing is underdone, that's for sure, as the riders come out in the antique cars. David Pingree, you see there, 125 is a true support group. They don't get paid like the 250 riders.
Here comes McGrath again, driving the Cadillac.
Now, wait a minute, David. Didn't the guys have the sunglasses on last night?
Well, it just shows you who's boss. Those girls are running the show.
There's Tortelli on the near side. And he definitely is the French favorite, as Jeremy McGrath got his game face on tonight.
Yeah, I was just about to say, it looks like he's a lot more serious than he's been. He wants to win one here. He swept last year, and he hasn't even been close to that. 5th is his best finish so far.
2 heats with the top 3 riders in each heat going directly to the main. 2 semis, the 4 top riders there, with 2 riders coming out of the last chance qualifier to make the 20-lap main event. Only 16 riders at the starting gate, so it gets pretty tight as we get set for our first qualifying round. Names like Larry Ward, Damon Huffman, Dowd, Lawrence, McGrath, Lusk, underway.
Larry Ward was way back from the starting gate trying to get a good jump on it, but he didn't guess quick enough.
Lots of riders getting trapped wide, and out in front it is Port, the Frenchman, along with McGrath. McGrath tries to block pass, but Port sneaks through.
He didn't budge at all. McGrath tried to get in there and make one of his early moves and run away and hide. Didn't work at all. The European riders don't budge.
McGrath, number 1. Larry Ward, number 6. Number 3 is Tortelli, another Frenchman. In fact, he's the 125 World Motocross champion.
Looks like McGrath really, I don't know what happened to him, but he lost his momentum right there. Now he's dropped all the way back. Now he's getting passed again, it looks like by Lusk.
Into the tunnel area under the stands. The riders get great speed despite those speed bumps. Hey, what fell off the ceiling? It looks like a fluorescent light bulb there fell down.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, a little handicap, what?
Right in front of Tortelli. It didn't mess anybody up, but that could have been weird, right in your face.
And Huffman had to run over it. Larry Ward, Tortelli, number 3, and then Huffman, number 4. Here's the battle for first place. Larry Ward takes over things.
Larry Ward is just, McGrath, more problems.
Jeremy McGrath going down, and he's got a long way to come to try to qualify in this opening heat.
Larry Ward already starting to pull away. He's been so dominant in the heats.
And a couple of mishaps on the other side of the track. Take a look at this. Ezra Lusk. That's on the Dunlap finish line jump.
Ow, lands right on the bar. The bike fell all the way off the side, 10, 12 feet down to the ground. Imagine if that had hit somebody coming out, walking out from underneath that tunnel.
Steve Butler, his new mechanic, now has to straighten things out, which is always a problem when you're traveling to Europe.
Well, the mechanics don't have their box van, or rather their semi, to jump in and have the spare parts and all the tools they usually work with. In fact, the last time I raced here, I had a couple of problems in the heats and semis. I had to ride the main event with no front brake. There was just simply not enough time and resources to fix it.
And Kawasaki, as we mentioned in prior telecasts from Paris, is the only factory that has sent their factory bikes. The other bikes are adjusted from stock bikes. They're gained locally.
Hustling his way through the whoops, tries to put the block pass on him. Left a little room. Didn't quite get it done. A good idea, though.
Here in Paris, only the top 3 from the qualifying heats get the direct transfer into the main.
Once again, Larry Ward is just completely gone. Guys in second don't even get to look at him.
Has he been impressive here in Europe?
He's impressive every year in Paris, and he's had a pretty good offseason. I don't know what it is about Larry where he gets so motivated, or maybe it's just because there's not quite as much pressure on this particular series.
Seems very relaxed. His timing is always perfect. The checkered flag for Larry Ward. Tortelli second, Huffman third. Those are the transfers here out of heat number 1. Larry Ward has won 3 heat races here in Paris and 1 main event. He has 4 wins on foreign soil during this offseason. Some important riders not making it into the main event. Mainly Jeremy McGrath and Ezra Lusk, along with John Dowd and Phil Lawrence. Heat 2 with Emig coming up. Pashone, Button, Albertine, Swank, and Ryan Hughes, some of the better-known names trying to qualify here in the second heat. Let's see who can get the whole shot. Ryan Hughes, number 9. He's going wide. He's one of the only riders we've seen do this, and more times than not grabs the whole shot. So Ryan Hughes is our leader as we head towards actually the finish line here.
Pretty amazing, too, how close the racing is to the fans. You see when they come out of that first corner and go through that big set of doubles, which will be triples the next lap around. They got a little bit better run at it. They're right next to the stand.
This has been the wicked location in the past 2 evenings, the whoops. They'll take a sharp turn and then go into some tabletop combinations.
You can see right through there, the riders all doing something a little different, doubling, tripling, and Craig tripled that, made up a little bit of time on Hughes, who for a moment there looked like he had a little bit of a lead, but not anymore.
Now to make the short track a little longer and extending it, they go in under the stands. This could be a slippery area. You've got speed bumps that you had better control your rebound.
Well, they put those little kickers in there, and they're all staggered, so you never really quite hit them the same twice, especially when you're in traffic.
Coming out of the tunnel, you hit a series of combination jumps and in the finish line jump, and we start all over.
Whoa, Mike Craig a little out of shape there. He stalled it briefly. He was ready with the Kickstarter, but he kind of accidentally bump started it, so he's still running second. Good save.
Ryan Hughes with a little room, and Emmett goes to the inside. The block pass.
Well, so much for that. He was in second. That little mistake, that's all Emick needed. He took a good line. He just went wide all the way around. It's not the fastest line when you're by yourself, but it's a great way to make a block pass.
Top 3 making it to the main event, so Pashone now has his sights on that next rider. Into the whoops, and the 2 teammates out in front, David.
Well, they know what each other's thinking. They ride quite a bit. They test a lot on the Supercross track that Kawasaki has out in California, and they can anticipate each other's moves. Right there, Emick taking a look up the inside again, same way he passed Mike Craig, but not going to work on Hughes. Hughes had a little bit too much of a run at it.
A little polite nudge for Emick.
Well, they got to be smart. They're obviously going to qualify right straight to the main event if they stay where they are, but Emick wants a round. That's pretty obvious.
So the battle out front. Emick in front, takes the lead.
He wasn't quite as polite, but he left him some room.
Hughes having to apply the brakes. Let's see if Ryan wants to come back. You know, he's got that great spirit. He's riding. Oh, look out. Oh, you can see him losing that early.
Well, he was just flying through there. Here's another look. He hit one wrong.
Oh.
Ow. Cased it with his body. Lands on his feet, though.
I'm surprised he even know which direction to walk off.
Got to give him a high score for landing on his feet. That couldn't have felt too good. And it's going to be tough to get everything back together for the semi.
Yeah, that competitive spirit is going to leave him pretty sore for that semifinal round as Jeff Emick, Mike Craig, and Mikel Pashone watch the checkered flag, knowing that they're going directly to the main event. Guys like Button, Albertine, Swank, and Ryan Hughes did not make it and will go to the semis.
Emick and his mechanic, Jeremy Albrecht, talking things over. In case he needs to make any changes to the bike, he needs to tell him then. Jeremy doesn't have time to wait until Emick is through being interviewed because these races are so tight.
How'd you like to be Wyatt Seals?
Well, he's going to have a lot of work to do to fix Ryan's bike. His bike went for a ride, and there's a nice stuff by Albertine on Brian Swank, and
Swank's not going to forget that.
Oh, look at Swank. He's giving him the dirty look. He's a get-even type guy, and here they come again. Watch this. Swank around the outside. Gets him back.
Mikel Pashone, number 7, who lives just about an hour and a half from Paris. We'll be back with more in a moment. Back, Art Ekman and David Bailey. The stadium located in Bercy, within the city limits of Paris.
Pretty wild stadium, too. The first time I ever saw it, it just looked like a big hill with grass on it, some kind of metal structure, but they actually had, the roof is actually grass. They mow it with these mowers on wires that go up and down.
It really does look strange, but an attractive, unusual look as we get set now for the first semifinal. These are highlights to find out if Jeremy McGrath and Greg Albertine qualify for the main event. Number 8, Albertine was able to get the good angle. Jeremy McGrath on inside, but it was Albertine taking the early lead.
A couple of riders going down back there in the doubles, and as soon as McGrath came over the gate, he beat the guys to the inside of it. He moved right over. He didn't want to get sandwiched in that first corner.
We could notice that on the third night, consecutive night of action, David, a lot more ruts.
Well, the track has definitely taken a lot of wear and tear, but you can see right there through the whoops that they have patched up the spots that got rutted, and they steamroll over. They do a fantastic job of keeping the track the best they possibly can.
The only battle in our highlights was for first place. Albertine getting constant pressure from Jeremy McGrath. I guess the question in many people's minds who saw the first round, would Albertine feel that pressure like he did in the main event, which handed the win to Larry Ward the first night?
Well, there's nothing worse than having McGrath right on your tail. Right as Albertine came out of that corner, it looked like he almost ran back into the wall. He came really close to the hay bales. Best thing I could think to do is, if I'm behind Greg Albertine with his track record, is keep the pressure on and just try not to follow him.
In this case, Albertine was able to pull a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, just stay to one side or the other. Hopefully he'll make a mistake.
A consistent ride by Port would place him in third, and Xavier Fabre would finish out the qualifiers in this heat. So two Frenchmen pleasing their fans getting into the main event.
Port's been quite the showman. Watch what he does right here. Look how close the racing is to the fans. They can just about reach out there and touch him. In fact, the first year we were here, they hung a big stuffed lion from the ceiling over one of the double jumps. I think O'Mara and Johnson were the first ones. They jumped the double, jumped a little bit higher than they really needed to, and reached up and smacked the tail. And pretty soon everybody was trying to do it, and that was more of a crowd pleaser than anything.
It was back, what, in 1984?
84, the first year they had it.
Out in
like
front.
Forever ago now.
Albertine here in the semifinal would hold off Jeremy McGrath.
Pretty impressive ride from Greg. Jeremy gave him all the pressure he could, but he didn't crack. He's getting a little bit more used to it. Doesn't want to make the same mistake twice.
Still, there was great crowd anticipation for the second semifinal round as this one was continuing, because there were several outstanding riders like Ezra Lusk and Ryan Hughes who still hadn't made the main event out of their heat racing. Here's the checkered flag for Greg Albertine. Good feeling after a very depressing first night of action here in Paris. So Albertine, McGrath, and Port, along with Fabre, advancing to the main event. The rider really having some tough times, especially in that last semifinal round, was Phil Lawrence, who will have to go to the last chance qualifier. We'll be back with the second semi in a moment.
You're not with AT&T, are you?
No, I'm not.
So, are you happy?
Somebody goes to the outside, they come out about third or fourth.
Is it because everybody's so patient now, knowing the inside route might be the quickest?
I just don't think anybody wants to crash anymore. They're all so dang sore from riding all these races. They're just going, you know, let's just get through here in one piece. The guys that are in the first three or four, I think, are a lot more patient in that first corner now that they know they're going to qualify anyway in those conditions.
Frederick Viale, number 13 in second place.
Ryan already starting to open it up a little bit. Dowd and Lusk still pretty far back.
Viale, 23 years old, the championship of France in 125 Supercross in 93. In 95, he won the 250 Supercross title. He was third in the world's last year in the 125s, and in third in France in the 250 classification.
Only taking 4 riders out of this to the main event. Somebody's going to get bumped. There's a whole bunch of talent back there.
Hughes, number 9. Number 13, Viale. Number 25 is Bethese. 14, of course, is Dowd, with 11, Ezra Lusk.
Dowd sitting in that final transfer spot. He's got a lot of heat from Button and Lusk.
You know, speaking of Hughes being sore, what about Lusk? He went for a jolly ride that first qualifying heat.
Just trying the high bar sideways. I can't believe that he got out of that okay. I mean, he just landed right on it. He didn't even have time to react and try to brace himself, and then the bike went tumbling all the way to the floor. That was pretty wild.
Gave a new meaning to the word pole sitter, I think. Yeah. Jimmy Button is right behind him, number 36. And Button has had a wonderful weekend here in Paris, that's for sure. Didn't even know he was coming to Paris until the Wednesday before he had to report on Thursday because of Damon Bradshaw's injury. Uh-oh, Dowd. Looked like he either put on the brakes or stalled out temporarily there in the corner.
Tried to get in there and put a block pass. Had to turn so sharp, he just about stalled it.
Right here in the highlights for the semifinals, both the Frenchmen looking in good form. And of course, that brought the crowd alive here at Bercy.
Tricky little section right there. They have to come out of the tunnel, wheelie over that little kicker before the first double. If you don't get the first double right, you can't get the speed to do the triple. A lot of technique goes into this, and as the track gets a little slicker, rutted, the rocks come up a little bit because it starts to dry out through the weekend. It's really technical.
Ryan Hughes, as you saw, pulling a lead here in our highlights, but it was tough going for everybody else. There you see the air horns.
You can hear that when you're out there too. It's like you feel like you're in the middle of a soccer game or something. It's the loudest anywhere. You hear, remember for the Chicago Bulls, Madhouse on Madison Street, or whatever they call it, the loudest arena. Well, this has got to be the loudest arena for Supercross.
Well, it's legal to bring in all these air horns. In fact, one guy even had a chainsaw noisemaker that he had up in the stands that interrupted the PA system with its wow, wow. Lusk boxing out. Ezra Lusk, number 11.
Pretty tight right there over the finish line jump between Button and Dowd.
Button cuts inside wisely, but then Dowd shuts the door. Lusk getting a little fishtail right there. Ezra has looked good on his new Yamaha bike. Watching ahead in the highlights, the battle with Lusk and Dowd. And they brush into the corner.
From that overhead shot, it looked like it was going to be a disaster for those teammates, but they just barely squeezed by.
Vialli and Bethise, the two Frenchmen, in second and third. Bethise, 25 years old. He was the championship of the 125s in Europe way back in 1989, and the Supercross 125 French champion in '89. Took the Supercross title of France in the 250s just last year. So he's still hanging in there, being competitive. Right now he's chasing the younger Vialli.
These guys are improving all the time. First time we came over here, that Jackie Vimone was the French hope, and Rick Johnson T-boned him in the heat race.
Ooh.
Not a big crowd pleaser. Rick spent the rest of the time in Paris trying to dig himself out of that ditch, but Vimone never made the main. He had a tough time.
I was going to ask you, did Rick learn to speak French after that?
Oh, yeah. Uh-oh. These guys finally got together.
Yep, they hooked up, Ezra Lusk and John Dowd, and Dowd would end up last in this semifinal round. Lusk in 8th position.
Pretty spectacular finish line jump, that big plateau. Great for a jump contest.
Jimmy Button has slowed down. He would finish 11th in the semifinal. So it was Ryan Hughes out in front with the two Frenchmen, and Brian Swink edging into a qualifying position, number 27.
Still a big battle between the two Frenchmen. Watch Ryan Hughes off the triple, showing off a little bit for the fans.
And here's the checkered flag for Ryan Hughes, and he takes him off the pegs on purpose.
Well, after that spectacular crash in the heat race, he had everything off the bike, and you got to believe he's pretty sore, but it's going to feel good for him to get in the main event with a 4th and a 2nd so far. He does good tonight. He have a shot at winning that King of Paris.
1 through 4 getting the transfer directly to the main event. Taking a look at slow motion action.
Look at that finger out there on the clutch. All the top guys leave that finger out there all the time.
I didn't realize it, but it's really more relaxing that way, isn't it, than having a fist. We'll be right back with an exciting jump contest in a moment.
My son insisted we try America Online. I said, what's in it for us? Now I know better.
Doubt in my mind, besides the tight racing and great competitiveness we've seen on the track, has been the jump contest here in Europe. They really make a big deal out of it, David.
These guys are good at it, too. They take big chances. We got a new contestant there doing another new trick, trying to get the crowd into it before he even does his jump.
Marco Stallman from the Netherlands.
That's the best little front wheel wheelie I've ever seen. He's railed that thing for quite a ways.
It's not all that easy either to go backwards on a bike.
Wow. You know, I could never get this figured out. I tried doing it, messing around in the field, and I looped out. I got to get backwards on the throttle, and I wheelied over backwards, all upside down. I didn't know which way I was pointing.
Well, that'd be an interesting show anyway.
Yeah, well, that shows you a little bit how hard it is. I don't think you can negotiate that track.
Here in Paris, we might add that pom-pom girls are in constant motion. Whoa! Stallman doing a modified spread eagle, and then he comes back here with a little hands in back of the helmet.
The creative. Oh, lands no hands. I've seen Mike Jones try that, but never seen it like this in competition. That was pretty wild.
So it's a good way to start the jump contest out. Did you ever have a position in one of these jump contests, David?
We never really had them. We just kind of had them amongst ourselves. We all paid attention to whatever we were doing in practice.
Port's got this move down. He's done that 3 nights in a row now.
He gets a little better each time. You know, between us riders during our heat races,
the heel clicker from Port.
we used to try to think of something on the finish line jump to get sideways. And every once in a while, you come up to the approaching it. Look at that.
That is nice.
Great shot. How far away he is from that motorcycle. A lot like McGrath. You come up to the finish line jump sometimes, and you're trying to think of what to do, and you can't think of anything, and don't do anything. You just get harassed so bad when you get back to the pits by every other rider.
Well, right now, just taking a look at the preliminaries here in the jump contest, this is about the best evening of the 3 already. And we haven't got to the champion yet. Edgar Torrent-Terrace is something else, and he'll be coming up. He'll be the last jumper tonight. The spread eagle.
Doing that on a 125, too. That's amazing.
Next year, he's probably going to do a heel clicker out of that.
You know, I mean,
it gets wilder and wilder.
You know, you look at parachuting, and people are always saying, why jump out of a perfectly good airplane? These guys are jumping off a perfectly good motorcycle midair, and they grab it before they land. And they got to time this plateau. I mean, that's hard to do in itself.
Oh, it's great camera work by our crew here at Bercy and Paris.
Whoa.
That sometimes happens.
Trying to do a little front wheel wheelie and got a little too much front brake. Wonder if they're going to deduct points for that.
Yeah, he was probably concentrating on the pom-pom girl instead of the business here, the old-fashioned heel clicker.
Wow. Kept them together for a little while with a jacket on, too.
Yeah. And let's try the one-legged fender kick.
That one scares me. That's just not much room to get your foot up through there.
And we got a cameraman lying down on the job. Magnificent jump contest here in Paris.
And he's looking at the fans. I'd be paying attention to what I was doing right about there if I was him.
But here is the undisputed champion, Edgar Torrent-Terrace. 16 years old, out of Spain. Does his routine to the Macarena.
I don't know what it is, but he's got it down, giving those girls a run for their money.
Well, he does a little bit of everything. And just take a look at these highlights. Little side saddle, one-handed, just to get the crowd up. In slow motion. Locks his ankles on the bars and arches his back. And then a little encore.
The encore was better than some of the others. They say in order to be old and wise, you must first be young and stupid.
Now, wait a minute. He's taking too much time there. He takes a hand off on the side saddle, does a little wheelie, reverse. Roncada, a pretty good racer who's coming to the United States next year to run with Honda of Troy, the 125s. He's showing that if he wins a race in 125s in America, we might see the knack-knack.
Oh, he knows what to do. Look at that. Throws the bike way out to the side. A little sketchy getting back on the landing.
Roncada only 17 years of age.
Check it out in slow motion. McGrath's got nothing on these guys. They've all watched and they've perfected it. Used to just be get the leg over the side. Now these guys are all throwing it out there sideways, trying to get a little whip action in there with it. Hold it off.
It makes you wonder if they've ever whipped it out in practice and never been able to get it back.
I'm sure that's happened.
I know Metzger's had a couple of accidents in practicing for his magazine shots and so forth as we go back to Torrent-Terrace.
Starting to narrow it down. The crowd's on its feet. I don't even know how they do this on that spotlight. It's pretty much in the dark, all these blinding lights. Superman.
Well, it has a great effect on the crowd. There's no question about that. As the riders, the racers, getting a good chance now to rest while this takes place.
That was pretty good. It looked like he was going to throw his feet up through the handlebars at first. He bends his knees. That's just so he can get the leverage to throw his body out straight. Way up above the bike.
Best Superman I've ever seen.
Look how high he is.
Jeremy McGrath with a great Superman act last year here. In fact, that's the first time I can remember seeing it. But it wasn't quite enough to win. Here's Roncada once again.
Get the crowd into it. They already make so much noise. They want more.
And there's no fire marshal there. So you have people sitting in the aisles as well as the seats.
I think that's like I described before. You go up to the jump, you're trying to think of what to do, and nothing happens. She'll get harassed for this. Didn't really do much. Just kind of threw the bike out there.
Guidetti won last year, I believe.
There he goes.
Beating out Jeremy McGrath. There's Roncada with a, ooh, that looks nice.
Kind of a cross between a ski jump and a Superman. Where he had the bike front end real high like that.
And the announcement of our winner. And of course, Torrentines. Quite a showman, as well as a great jump artist.
He's got a mouthful of dirt. He's done that 3 times now.
In the 2 motos for 125s, Torrentines took a 5th and a 12th. We'll see those highlights, plus the 250 main coming up.
Once in a while, if you're lucky, you get to see this. Watch it.
With already 1 moto win, along with Roncada. And Pingree and Decker won the other motos in previous Paris action this season. Now watch coming out of the tunnel. Roncada, a triple, and then another triple.
Beautiful. Nice move. It didn't look like it took any energy at all. He just had the perfect speed. Once he landed in between those next 2, he just went right up over the next 3.
Beautiful technique for 125. Roncada.
Sideways there. Coming into that corner. They carry so much speed in, those little kickers.
And Decker, more problems. Serge Guidetti went down right in front of him. Now Decker jammed his middle finger, scraped his thumb, but still got up and had a credible performance. Decker will finish 3rd in this first moto.
Pretty amazing, too. He's just had so much bad luck, people crashing in front of him. He's just been minding his own business, riding great. Bad luck.
David Villeman on his way to the Prince of Bercy title.
Pulling some of that jump contest moves down into the finish line jumps. Both feet off the side.
So the 2 Frenchmen that are coming to the United States, 1 and 2. Decker, a great comeback for 3rd. Let's take time out for a little musical recap now of the 125 opening moto. Moto number 2 for the 125s, and once again David Villeman would show his superiority and bring the French fans out of their seats. But it was a good competition all the way. Pingree, although he's won more motos here in 125 action in Paris than any other rider, had his problems in all but 1 moto on this weekend. Here's Pingree out in front. Number 1. Number 10 is Decker. Number 2 is Villeman.
He may not have won the most this time, but he's certainly got the most hole shots.
Pingree, every time he went down, found a different place on the track. He was never consistent when he crashed.
Well, he was trying hard, that's for sure. You never know if you're going fast enough until you fall down. Hopefully get that over with in practice.
Look at the fans. They are absolutely wonderful here in Paris. You have to have one of the best sound systems in the world to explain what's going on over that crowd noise.
And they do here in Paris. I've never heard a sound system like they have here.
So Villeman and Roncada behind Pingree with Decker in 4th.
Number 1, 2, and 3 running 1, 2, 3. How often do you see that?
Well, it doesn't exist long, though. Pingree, the little fishtail there.
Trying to decide what to do. He wanted to take the inside and cover that line.
Roncada really giving him a challenge into the corner. Pingree, though, slips through the sandwich. David, with these evenly matched bikes, this proved to be some of the most exciting racing of the entire evening.
Well, you've got number 1, you got number 2, number 3, and number 10, who really should be probably about number 4. Decker's been riding great. All these guys, you throw a blanket over them the whole time. They keep switching around. Look how close they are.
At great speeds, too. And those kickers. Now watch the fans. They'll almost try to reach out and touch these guys.
Pingree was in the lead as he came out of the tunnel right there. Made a mistake. Messed up his teammate Decker. Both French kids go right by, and Villeman off the finish line jumped already gesturing to the crowd like, I'm the man.
Villeman, Roncada, And Pingree with Decker coming up in fourth.
Look at Pingree. Cuts him off. Watch Villeman. Parks them right into the wall. The fans could reach over and touch him that time. This is the closest the racing's going to get to the fans anywhere in the world that I've seen.
Roncada free. Decker putting pressure on him throughout the second moto. Decker, I thought, was amazing coming off that devastating neck injury.
See how close they get to the hay bales. He's dragging part of the hay bale along with him. You see how steep the angle is in the stadium. The crowd is so close. Even if you're way up in the nosebleed seats, you're still pretty close to the track.
Villeman would sweep the two 125s and take the Prince of Bercy title. Decker, though, comes up with a second-place finish here, passing Roncada. Pingree would end up in fifth. And at the checkered flag, the place goes crazy. A Frenchman has taken the 125 title for the entire weekend. Pingree and Decker both got moto wins in 125 action, but it was Villeman who conquered. As we take a look at the final finishers of the second moto in the 125 action, and David, I think you'll agree with me, we expect to see some of these names, the Frenchmen coming over to the United States and racing in the future. It's been this Paris Supercross that has stimulated great racing in France.
And you notice that, I mean, there's a lot of riders from Europe, but the French are really the toughest ones. And I think the reason for that is because this race was really born in 1984, and it is the race in Europe. And the French have gotten better just along with the race.
So your Barcelonas and your Genevas and so forth are jumping on the bandwagon.
Absolutely.
We'll be back with the 250 main event coming up.
Now you'll forget about all that soreness as soon as this gate drops. You know these guys, their hands are sore from the crashes. Remember that spectacular get-off that Hughes had through the whoops. You see Skip Norfolk there laughing and talking with McGrath along with Wyatt Seals, telling Rhino he can do it. He's got the speed. Got to get that start, though.
You talk about pre-race routines. Look at all those hands. Busy.
Look at this guy. I don't know what that is. That's focus or fear or... He looks pretty nervous to me. There's no way to describe what's going through your mind. Jimmy Button right there looks like on the starting line. You're so nervous. You feel like you're ready to explode. As soon as the gate drops, you're right back to normal. That never leaves. My whole career, I felt the same way every start. It's even increased here in these races.
Here at Bercy, you can time that gate.
Well, these riders are able to back quite a bit off of it. Guess at it. See that number, Craig rolling in. Got a great jump.
Going to the outside once again is Ryan Hughes. Will he have the power to get out in front of Jeremy? Yes, Ryan Hughes once again, his third straight hole shot.
That seems impossible in the main event. All those good guys inside of him.
Oh, Jeremy giving Michael Craig a good rap as he moves into second place.
That was critical. That could be the race right there for McGrath. He's got to get around Craig. He's so hard to pass. A couple laps in the books following Craig, and Ryan Hughes would be gone.
In third place, number 32, Xavier Fabre. He was the one that was going through all those eye movements in the starting line.
Well, it worked.
Ryan Hughes, our leader, with Jeremy McGrath in second place. And there's Vialli, number 13, in fourth. So the French have a lot to cheer about here in the main event in the final night in Paris. 15 is Michael Craig. 6, Larry Ward, who's had an outstanding weekend here.
He's quick in the early laps, too. I know I've said that before, but he is. Watch him try to move up through the pack. Jeff Emig right in there with him.
Oh, Michael Craig down. And that's Vialli, the Frenchman. They really locked up. Let's take another look.
Oh, we're getting the tail end of it. It's coming off of that section of doubles and triples into the tight left. Emig just escaping it.
Ouch, that's pipe burn material right there.
Yeah, it looked like Craig walked away holding his wrist.
Here on the second lap now, Jeremy McGrath is getting closer and closer to Ryan Hughes.
These guys got a furious pace, too. Look back there behind him.
You have a feeling that McGrath is just burning to win one here in Paris after winning all 3 last year and really not showing well in the first 2.
Well, I'm sure he's burning, but if he's burning, then I know Ryan Hughes is on fire because he's paid his dues, that's for sure. He wants to win just as bad. He wants even more to beat Jeremy here.
Ryan Hughes is in good position for the overall title. Here comes Larry Ward. Ward to the inside now. Gets good power from that Honda of Troy machine.
Didn't quite get the pass made, but he had the right idea. And McGrath
making the pass in the tunnel, takes over the lead from Ryan Hughes. Now will Rhino come back in patented style?
Rhino will not give up, I'll give you that.
Remember
he's going to stay with him.
In the heat races, he tried to come back on Ebbing and went flying.
I don't think he'll make that mistake again, but he's going to do everything in his power to try to stay with McGrath, keep the pressure on, and do what very few people do, and that is put pressure on McGrath and force him into a mistake.
You know, Rhino reminds me of a home run hitter right now here that strikes out a lot because he has been in good, consistent finishing positions, but has made some spectacular crashes. Larry Ward makes a nice move, and they connect. Larry Ward, along with Emig, and Ward slacks off. As we go into the tunnel, Hughes, McGrath, Emig. Look at our camera. There's been some rocks flying. A cracked lens on that baby. We pick up the action in our main event, round 4 of the World Supercross Series. Jeremy McGrath has taken the lead. Here's Mikel Pachon, who's doing a fine job. Taking a look once again as we move back to the collision between Emig and Ward.
Ward obviously having some problems there. Their bikes connected. Maybe he's got some bike trouble from that because it didn't look like there was any reason he should slow down.
Well, Ward has gone back to the pits. I can see that right now. So he definitely has his problems.
Greg Albertine just stuffed Damon Huffman out into the hay bales.
Huffman, a very difficult start after the first lap, was in 10th position. But he has been fast all weekend. If he can get by the block there, he'll be up front.
Well, that's in the area of our cracked lens, so imagine being in that pack with all those rocks flying.
You know, we have just seen some outstanding racing every night here in Paris, David.
I was thinking the same thing, but you know, it's just not luck or this particular time. It's always been great racing in France. I've been there both as a spectator and as a rider, and now watching it, covering it for television, and it's just been amazing. Every time, just when you think it's a runaway, the guy falls or goes off the track because everything's so tight. You encounter a lot more lapped riders than you would at other races, and there's always something going on.
I think Jeremy McGrath is trying to prove here that, hey, my vacation is over now. I'm going to work myself into shape.
Well, I wonder about his motivation during this off-season. I mean, he's riding pretty much a production bike, and it's obvious right now he's got the speed to win. I just wonder how motivated he was those first couple of nights. He's
been riding a little bit his 97 bike at home, but not really training. And really, this is his first competition since the Motocross of the Nations.
I really believe that at this level, everyone's got the fitness, they've got the technique, they understand how to ride these types of tracks. They've been in these situations before, but mentally, if you're not all the way there, a little percentage, you're just not willing to put out that last little bit, that's enough to make the difference between first and fifth.
That's been the big difference in number 2's ride, as we see Mikel Pachon trying to catch up with number 2, Jeff Emig. Great maturity and attitude. Mikel, he's of course working on his strength.
Well, that's going to be the biggest thing for him to overcome. He's already got this chronic fatigue syndrome, and I'm really not sure how you handle that.
Right now, they're trying to handle it with a special diet, which includes no meat at all and lots of rest. This is his first competition, and of course, the first competition on a Suzuki.
One thing he's got in his favor is that he rides fairly relaxed and smooth. He doesn't use as much energy as somebody like Albertine or Ryan Hughes, so he should be able to get away with it.
Still, he had one of the most awesome get-offs I've ever seen in Supercross. That was in Atlanta, I believe.
Right, a lap rider got in the way. It looked like he kind of blown it a little bit on the face of the jump anyway. Look at Albertine. Jeez, threads the needle. Still didn't make the pass, though.
Albertine really trying to make the move on Bethise, the French rider. Bethise in 6th place. Albertine trying to move up a notch, and so is Tortelli, number 3. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of Tortelli earlier. He's had a couple of pretty good races before this one in Paris.
It's the start. You don't get the start, you're not in the thick of it, but he's gotten pretty good starts up till this time, and even in this one with the poor start, he's proven that he can work his way through the pack. Look at the crowd.
Jeremy McGrath is our leader. with Ryan Hughes still holding on to second place. Oh, and Albertine gets a little push right there. Tried to muscle in on him.
Albertine's really using a lot of muscle here. He's definitely not making any friends, but he's being aggressive. That's what you got to do.
Made the easy pass there. The rider giving way to him.
Probably afraid of him.
Now we'll see what Tortelli tries to do to get around him on those triples. Albertine with a great first night until the last lap. The World 125 motocross champion last year, Tortelli, goes to the outside. And that gives him a good angle in the whoops. And the whoops, the best place to pass on this track.
If you're fast through the whoops and you don't follow the guy through, get a good run, it's just pretty much a sure thing you're going to make the pass. We've seen in other places through this corner and other tight corners where they try to make a pass and it doesn't happen. They either both go down. Look at Albertine. Oh. The guy is just on the edge all the time. I can't ride like that. Never could. Some guys can do it. I don't know if that bothers him or not. Doesn't seem to.
Just keeps coming back for more, doesn't he?
Well, you know, when I get out of control like that, my heart starts pounding, and I think about things, you know, for a half a lap or so. He just keeps right on trucking.
Here comes Albertine, along with Tortelli, making a good skirmish of it behind the leaders.
There's nothing worse than coming into that whoop section and you got somebody charging behind you.
We've got Jeremy McGrath still our leader. Can he hold off Hughes?
People are talking.
I think the American press sort of expected us to win. Then when they lost, it was like, wow, what happened? Well, the Europeans are fast. That's what happened. Finally, the odds were stacked against the U.S. Win it so many times, and to bring it back, it had to be special.
Jeremy told me he was tired of the Euros talking the talk, and he was going to walk the walk, and they certainly did. In fact, only your crew had a better record ever in the Motocross of the Nations, I think.
Yeah, I feel glad to be part of that. Johnson and I and O'Mara, that was the famous race where O'Mara rode the 125 right around 2 500 world champions on a hilly track. And we finished 1-2 in every moto and first in our respective class. So maybe that'll never be done. I hope not, actually.
Mikel Pichon, number 7, coming through the tunnel. Now, all of these guys are really looking forward to the next round in Tokyo. That's when they'll pick up their 97 bikes and do a great deal of testing as we go into the final lap. Jeremy McGrath has pulled a pretty sizable lead on Ryan Hughes.
We keep talking about how Jeremy's not comfortable on the bike yet. That's actually good news. You know, it's pretty obvious that Honda made big changes to that 250. And the fact that it's not working right now is probably a good sign. That leaves a lot of room for improvement. I'm sure in Japan they'll find some answers. Mikel
Pichon in 5th, but Huffman, number 4, has come all the way from 10th spot to 4th. Ryan Hughes in 2nd place puts him in great position for the overall title of King of Bercy, which is quite a renowned title here in Paris.
Great shot from the crowd's point of view and the riders going by. You see how close they get. Usually at Supercrosses, because of insurance reasons and whatever, they block out the first 25 rows or so. But here, you're right next to the people, and for the riders, it's exciting too.
I'm not sure they have the same liability laws in France, especially when it comes to the fire marshal and letting everybody sit in the aisles. Jeremy McGrath pointing to the crowd. Oh, he's happy right now. He wanted to come out of here with at least one win. The checkered flag for Jeremy. His 7th victory in Paris.
Ryan Hughes looked pretty happy as he went across the finish line. I think he knows he's in the running for the King of Paris.
I think that gives it to him. With a 2nd and a 4th and a 2nd finish in the 3 consecutive nights. Jeremy McGrath getting congratulated by his mechanic Skip Norfolk. Hughes and Emig on the podium with Huffman in 4th. A well-earned 4th position. As we take a look at the top 10, Albertine, Tortelli, Button, the Thieves, and Swink. After 4 rounds, we still have 4 different winners, with Jeff Emig taking the points lead just ahead of Huffman and Hughes. There's a money pot for the points championship as well at the end of the